A warm welcome to our wonderful members and subscribers on Brick and Click, the voice of FMCG and Retail, where we bring you expert insights on current issues and trends that matter. I'm your host Sahaj Kotari, and for those just joining us, I am also an award-winning author, speaker, and a consultant with an aim to help FMCG and retail organizations to find, build, and sustain tangible growth. Today, we will be discussing a very important and relevant topic in FMCG and retail. What's next for revenue growth management, especially in these fierce market conditions? And we have a very special guest with us today to share his views. Rocco Kellevink, who is the Global Senior Director for Pricing and Revenue Management at Molson Coors and is responsible for Europe, Canada, and Molson Coors International. He has extensive expertise and a breadth of experience in building a first-class revenue management capabilities, and he is going to share with us some few pointers that we can apply in our organizations today. So, a very warm welcome, Rocco. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you very much.
That's great, Rocco. Thank you. Share with us a bit more about yourself, your role, your background.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, I'm responsible, as you mentioned, for our global organization on revenue management within Molson Coors. I'm doing that since the last couple of years now. Before that, worked for Anheuser-Busch InBev, so I've been for extensive time in the beer industry. Building revenue management, to set that up in first class within how we are operating is pretty much based on a base framework on which we capture everything around revenue management, which is kind of four major pillars. We focus on everything to do with pricing management, kind of the base usage of revenue management, investment management, which is promotional and contractual trade investments we have in our marketplace, mix management as a pillar, and finally everything to do with organization, so building the capabilities within a team. And pretty much that framework is our skeleton which we use for optimizing everything we could do within our organization on revenue management.
Thank you, Rocco. It's really clear the four pillars that you have structured within your revenue management team and capabilities within Molson Coors. What do you think are the challenges of the industry, and how relevant in this revenue growth agenda is for organizations today?
Yeah, good question. I think in general, as we are able to kind of fully scope kind of our business of revenue management, and we all know revenue is kind of one of the big P&L, top line P&L lines. To be able to structure them in those ways, I think we are able to capture one of the biggest challenges in the marketplace. Is kind of finding sustainable growth going forward. Sustainable growth is specifically driven by all the four pillars we are focusing on, and as that is in the end a multiplication of volume times price, we are able to capture all the different elements of growing our top line P&L. Focusing on the four areas at the same time, which kind of, if we are able to drive those side by side, we're able to grow a better and sustainable and more balanced growth of our P&L, which is one of the challenges we are facing in FMCG today. It's either focusing on volume or focusing on price, and this is kind of giving the ability to kind of combine all of those together.
Absolutely. I think I was speaking to other individuals within the industry. It's very clear, that our growth isn't coming up easy as it used to 10 years ago, and the world has changed. And it's good to know that revenue growth management, the way you have described, is a key element, a key building block of growth in this hemisphere, right?
Yeah, correct. And keywords are all about sustainability. So make your growth sustainable, and also balancing it therefore out with your individual kind of key pillars you can steer within FMCG today.
Okay. And it's very easy to understand and solve today's problem of FMCG and retail. How do you mentioned about building strong capability is one of your pillars. How important and how do you do that so that you're not only securing your growth for today, but also for the future?
Yeah, again, a good question. I think it's, as I mentioned in general, by holding strong on the framework and literally focusing on the 4 individual pillars, we are able to grow sustainable growth. But to build that in your organization capable-wise, I think we focus as much as possible of making revenue management the core DNA part of every commercial team in the organization and not seeing it separately as kind of a discipline that you might say innovations as a separate discipline is.
That's very important.
We try to link this really into kind of making sure that this is almost not seen as a discipline, but literally as a skill set of each individual in the commercial organization. I think that's one of the main cornerstones, aside from the framework and staying consistent with the framework, building that sustainably and balanced is kind of the fundamental ingredients how we are building capabilities today.
Thank you, Rocco. Sustainability is the way forward. When we talk about revenue growth management, what are the top 3 or 4 trends that our viewers needs to look out for?
Yeah, I think in high level lines I'm describing those and what are the trends. I think it's one is the fact that we are trying to institutionalize the capability building of revenue management more stronger in organizations. As I mentioned, it needs to be part of a skill set from everyone in the commercial teams. We also know that revenue management is not a discipline which we find on universities in a way, right? So you can study marketing, you can study economics, you can study a lot of other areas, but specifically revenue management, there's not a specific study out there. So it's all about making sure within business we are able to institutionalize that capability building for really revenue management, training, education.
Have a system. Yes.
Exactly. Make sure that is captured in there, and then trying to see how you can work that out aside from the theory, which is not yet in place in universities in a way. I think that's one big trend. So trying to be ahead of the curve and institutionalizing it. I think a second one, as I mentioned, I think before, is kind of this needs to be made a core skill set of everyone in the sales in the commercial organization, which is kind of a trend which we see more and more. I think another one, as I mentioned, as we are focusing on the broad scope of pillars, it is revenue management, or the trends are kind of try to be holistic into focusing all key pillars on revenue management, not only on the pricing pillar or only on the promotional pillar, but really trying to encapsulate everything which is out there. And I think a third trend I would call out is, I think, more along the lines of making sure that the revenue growth is at the starting point of your commercial planning, and not in the worst example as an afterthought or kind of a gap closer of hitting our targets through just some additional pricing, but literally seeing it at the base of the equation when starting your commercial planning of the year, which mix management kicks in then heavily. But for sure also the pricing pillar and then the total investment pillar. But I think I would call those out as kind of high level trends that we currently see.
Absolutely. Especially your third point. It's all about the mindset of an organization. How do we become more proactive than reactive? How do we influence the front end of the decision-making funnel to significantly enhance our chances of achieving our organization's objectives and goals? Absolutely. Thank you, Rocco, for sharing these powerful insights and tips with our viewers. This is going to benefit all of us. Your passion, your commitment, your contribution in building a first-class RGM is amazing, and thank you for inspiring us all to take some tangible actions today. Do you have any last few words for us?
No, first and foremost, thank you for this. And I think it is important, the approach we're taking and making sure that revenue management or revenue growth is being recognized in full FMCG as being a very important supporting lever for everyone in the organization and into business, which literally drives that kind of old-fashioned term of triple win. But I think this is definitely the truth. And if you're able to operate revenue management correctly, because it's definitely something which is driving benefits for all, and is not searching for just one of the triple equation. I think that's the most important thing to understand about what the capabilities are of revenue management.
Absolutely. Very well said, Rocco. It's all about having a winning strategy for the retailers, the manufacturers, and of course, our beloved shoppers. Thank you, Rocco. It's been a complete privilege of having you here, and thank you for sharing some awesome insight in this industry. With that said, that's all for this special episode of Brick and Click, the voice of FMCG and retail. Join me next time on another hot topic with a special guest. Till then, bye bye.